Welcome in, Seeing Scarlet. Hello, hello. We have another special guest here with us. A really great interview that's truly fitting for this week. The excitement that's going on in Lubbock for the basketball tournament. But we'll get to that in just a minute. But before we do, make sure that you subscribe. We got some good stuff that we're cranking out of our vacation time a little bit from the summer, and starting it off with a bang with our interview that we have today. And that's Toddrick Gotcher. I am so hype. If y'all know, if you know, you know. Toddrick was playing at Texas Tech. I think it was 2011, around that time frame. Yes, Toddrick, and that was the time when I was in college. So there's a special bond here that you're going to learn about today, Toddrick. But welcome into Seeing Scarlet. We appreciate you coming on board and hanging out with us for a little bit.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited and can't wait to talk and share some stories.
Hey, yeah. We want all of the
we
stories.
Love stories. That's what yeah. Sivi touched on that's I was in school back then too, and you were up until that 2016 team, and there was some tough times at the beginning of that, but you finished it off on this high note. And is that I guess the first question for me, just to touch on the Texas Tech days for a little bit, is what kept you in Lubbock during all that? Because, I mean, it wasn't the easiest, to be frank. A lot of people would have left, rightfully so. We were in school. We saw it from the outside perspective. I can't even imagine on your side. But yeah, what kept you there? And you're like, no, I just want to see this through and get us back to where we need to be.
Right. That's a great question. So for me, I started in 2011. So I had three different coaches. I came in for Pat Knight. Came in for Pat Knight. Chris Beard was the assistant. He was my guy, and I was ready to play for them. My senior year in college, they get fired. Billy Gillespie comes, and after that, Chris Walker, his assistant, then Tubby comes. So I was like, man, what is going on with this program? But honestly, what kept me committed to Texas Tech was my father. He always told me, did you commit to the coach or the university? And every time a coach left, he asked me that same question every time. So that stuck with me. And I've always said Texas Tech is, for me, a lot of people don't know, but I was on my way to South Florida, University of South Florida. After the second coach came, I was like, all right, this is the second. All right, I'm done with this. But my dad asked me again, and I said, all right, I'll stay at Texas Tech. So
Texas Tech, yeah, the coaching changes alone. Yeah, I'm really happy that you stayed.
Respect, yeah. Especially those middle years there. It's one thing to be like, okay, Tubby Smith's coming in. There's that legend status there. It'd be great,
right?
But that middle switch was a lot, and y'all stuck through it. The ones that did, so we appreciated it as fans. I guess I know when I think of that group, the thing I remember is that 2016 year when y'all finally got us back to where. Is that what you think of most when you look back at your time at Texas Tech, or what sticks out for you?
Absolutely, that 2016 team was, amazing. We finally got past over that hump. That's what we used to call it, like a winning season, get to the NCAA tournament. Obviously, we lost in the first round, but that was just the beginning, obviously, to what you see now. But that 2016 year was great for me as a senior, finishing off like that, but also leaving it to the sophomores that were Keenan, Zach, Noren, handed to Justin Gray, just handed it off to them, like, all right, you guys do the rest. I did the hard part. Now you guys just go. You guys go do the.
You're welcome.
They had it so much easier. They then had a coaching change quickly thereafter themselves, but still, it was not the same level for sure. And I was at that game in North Carolina, up in Raleigh, right? I remember, and that showed how much it meant to Texas Tech. I was already living here, so that was cheating, but there was a ton of Texas Tech fans in that arena in Raleigh. I felt like I was at a Texas Tech game walking around. I was like, oh my gosh, I figured I'd be the only one here, and there was tons of people there, so it was cool.
So, Toddrick, you talked about in that first question that we asked you about how your dad was asking you some of the really in-depth questions that made you stay committed to Texas Tech. And it sounds like maybe a really important support system for you. And what did that look like while you were going through all all of these transitions and hardships, what was the support that got you through all of that? Was it family? Was it a lot of you and your own mindset? And what did that look like for you?
So first and foremost, it was my family, my parents. They really always, set the tone to get me in the right mindset. But I have to give all the respect to like the academic advisors, the professors, because if you go to class, they hear the same news that you hear. So they're like, oh, what are you going to do? And no one really did that to me. Like, luckily, like, cause then you start thinking like, maybe I should go,
Yeah.
but they were always like, we support you, whatever you do. The academic advisors were monumental. We were in there every single day. So I'm in the office for hours with them, just talking it through, they were grown. They've been to different, universities, things like that. So they always ask me, what do you want in life? What do you want to be remembered for? So that stuck with me as well. And it's just amazing how it panned out. It panned out the exact way I wanted it to. So I got lucky in that aspect.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I think about what you said there of like what you want to be remembered for, and seeing you right now with like the double T, I'm like, yeah, that's Toddrick. Like I'm seeing you, like you are such a huge like advocate for Texas Tech and the brand and the love that you have for the school. What do you think what legacy you left at Texas Tech, or what do you hope that people remember when they see you, especially with the tournament coming up and having some of those memories come back? Like, what are some of the things that you hope people remember about you?
I just hope they remember me as that hard-nosed guy that just was always happy. Loved his school, did anything. Yeah. I've always told Kirby Holcutt, our AD, I said, all right, when you're done, I'm coming after your job. So,
why wait, Toddrick?
Right. He knew that. Like he tells everyone every time I see him at a function, a donor event, that's how he introduces me. So this is the guy that's going to take my job. So it just
you heard it here first.
I love it.
Yeah. So that's just special to hear that from your AD. I mean, you know those guys, you never get to know them. Those guys in the office, they're raising money, but he's always at practice. He's in them. So hopefully I get remembered for that one day. So we'll see.
You can check that box. It is absolutely true. So yeah, I totally agree.
I'm sure we'll see some of that on display on Wednesday when you get going. If they don't remember, they're about to remember for sure. But one thing,
hopefully.
You just talked about your relationship with Kirby Holcutt, and you talked about kind of your advisors and stuff. And I think it's really cool when players come back. Is there anybody outside of Kirby Holcutt or that's still involved within the program that was when you were there? Obviously, the coaches are different and all that, but is there people who are like, oh, I'm excited to go see them or this and that while you're kind of more inside the program again, like on the court and things of that nature versus being almost a fan in past seasons?
There's a couple of people. Like our main academic advisor is still there, and I love to go see her and check out on her. But everybody else retired on me. I was like, I go in there and I'm like, they're looking at me like, who are you? And right, that's why I'm like, is it me? So
I'm getting old moment right there.
Right. So, but it's I just obviously the Wumble wasn't even there when I was at Tech.
Beautiful.
And I walk in and I'm like, what is this? Like this, if we had this, but man, I'm glad
y'all
to
don't
where
know.
we are today.
Y'all kids.
Yes. So so today we had a TBT practice and we played against the Tech guys. I'm not supposed to say that. I'm not supposed to say that, but I'm like, you know what? We played against the Tech guys.
Yeah.
So it was our team, the TBT against the Tech guys, and it was Coach McCaslin. He's trying to keep it a secret. So there was like no media there, nobody there, but it was a great time. They had every TBT guy that's on the roster. They posted highlights. So the Tech guys are watching our highlights and they're like, okay, now we know, we get a feel for who you are. So it was special. Right.
Without getting you in trouble, can you give your thoughts on the team for next year briefly? Or is that not allowed? Yeah, go for it since you played against them.
Playing against them, they really know how to compete. They really fit our tradition, like playing hard, playing tough defense. So I give them that. they're pretty young at the guard spot, I believe, but you got guys that can just get buckets at any time. Pop Isaac, you got
That kid's crazy.
Washington. Yeah, so it's just, I mean, we added a lot of depth with the transfers, which I got to see them firsthand for the first time, and so I think we'll be okay this year. Coach McGath, he knows what he's doing for sure.
That's good. Yeah. People will love to hear that because they never know.
Right.
Everyone's a Texas Tech fan, so we're hyped no matter who's out there. But it's like, are they Texas Tech tough or not? Like that's all we really care about.
Yeah. You want to bring those guys in for sure.
Yeah.
And I always feel like when since graduating from Tech, when we see new things or facilities being expanded or updated, and part of me is like, dang, I'm so jealous, and the other part of me is like, I'm so proud that we're moving in that direction. What is maybe like one of the things that you've seen? It might be the Womble that you are really stoked about with Texas Tech, and just a lot of emphasis that it has come to fruition in the past few years with all Tech athletics. What is something that you're like really, really proud of to see at Texas Tech? It could be with basketball or anywhere around campus.
Well, for campus, I've been on campus a couple of times. Usually I work out at the rec, 6 a.m., so no one knows, quietly.
6 a.m. Okay.
I love it. So
he's just out there breaking some college kids' ankles. They're like, who is this guy out here? They go look up your YouTube highlights.
That's true. When I walk in, they're like, who is this guy? Then I have a friend that knows. He's like, he's on my team. Don't worry about who he is, but he's on my team.
You're about to find out.
Right. But the Womble, I mean, obviously it stands out as the most. What I love about it, they have alumni locker room, which
nice.
Which is, I mean, colleges don't, they're there for the players, but they have an alumni locker room, tell you the years that someone played, and that's where the TBT guys, that's where we sit in the other room is the Tech players. So it's like, it's very special to what the Womble has really developed and stuff like that. But I haven't seen the classrooms, anything on Tech, and that's one thing I miss. So I miss going to class. I miss going to class.
Wow.
Yeah.
I do. I was a bookworm, so I love class for sure.
Yeah. It is a weird transition when you get out of that. Like I've been learning for however many years, and now I don't have to. What do I do? No.
Yeah.
So that locker room is that for y'all? Like, so any alumni can roll through if you're in town to go work out. Basically, is what you're saying that's for? That's really neat.
Yes, we have a hand scan. We scan our hand. And we're right in the Womble, which is
so cool.
Never happened when I was in Tech, so it's really special.
Yeah, you don't get locked out after you graduate. They just let you in a different door.
Right,
not for Toddrick, not for you.
No, not these legends. No, that's really cool. I don't know how many other schools do that. I've never heard of that. That's really neat, and that's good for the players to see you guys around the facility too, and being like that. This is a pro. That's where I want to get. So, speaking of that, what was that transition for you? Obviously, you finished up Texas Tech. Now you've had a pretty successful pro career overseas, and I think you're in Turkey now. Is that correct?
Turkey was 2 years ago. I was in Romania for the last year.
Okay,
cool.
Yeah. So, like, how's that been? Like, hopping around, getting used to these new countries, and kind of doing what you do over there.
It's really special to me. This is my 8th year in Europe. I played in Greece for 3 years, Turkey, France, and 2 years in Romania. So just adapting to the culture is special to me. Get to try different food, the different languages, the people. For some people it's very hard because you come from having everything, in America. Then you have to make that adjustment. But as soon as you get it, it's experience you'll never forget. Like I try to make everyone that I know go to Europe just to see the different side of the world and experience. So it's been really special for sure.
Yeah, I love that. I think the times that I've been in Europe, I'm always like, where can I go to next? And I love that you're getting so many different perspectives and different cultures, like what you're talking about. So with this tournament coming up whenever this episode releases, what are you looking forward to the most? Are you going to be like dunking on these kids? Like, Toddrick, tell me what's going to go down.
All right. So what I really like is a mix of the generations that's gonna play for this team. You got me, John Roberson, Jordan Tobert, and like Dayon, which is like 4 or 5 of us that are kind of older. Then you have the young guys that play for the national championship, and I'm like seeing it on the floor at once is, I mean, we're gonna play the right way for sure. So it's gonna look really good. They say they sold out the lower bowl in the arena, which
Let's
is
go.
unbelievable. So we're
especially.
excited, and mixing the generations to me is really special to see different brands of basketball come as one. So we can't wait to get back in that USA for sure.
I know. I didn't even think about it in that perspective of like, I mean, Shelby and I talked about it of the roster, and Shelby talked about all the different ages and things like that, but how special it can be. I'm totally here for that, and excited to see it being executed, and that's magic, dude. I love that.
I may cry going into the USA though. I have to put because obviously in 8 years I haven't really. They usually close the USA for graduations. You know, when I'm only back in the summer, so the USA is never open. So it's been 8 years since I've stepped foot in the USA. So as soon as I walk in, I know I'm going to get chills, and I don't know. You may see a tear or two.
I can't imagine.
I hope so. I'll be like, I
was thinking about that. Like, I don't even know if y'all can put into words the emotions for any of y'all, especially you guys that it's been a little bit longer since you've played there, but I mean, there's no reason for you to have not thought on your senior night, I'm never going to get to play in front of these fans in this stadium, in this arena again. And now to have this opportunity, I know it had to be, as soon as they're like, Lubbock's a host, everybody that could wanted to be there, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Oh, for sure. Everyone jumped on that. And John Roberson, which is the oldest guy on the team, he hasn't been back to Lubbock in 13 years.
Wow.
Someone told me that today. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's a long time.
It's a bit different.
It's a bit different.
He walked into the Wumble like, what is like? So yeah, it's a lot different.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
Chris Level put out a tweet, kind of what you just touched on with I think he said there was 9 different eras, if you will, coaching staffs that have gone. You went through 3 of them yourself, but across the span of the people. And you touched on trying to like the brand of basketball. What has that been like? Like everyone came from a different era. Like when you have your own coach for this team. But what is that like meshing Texas Tech styles? But also you all come from playing either overseas or G League or wherever everybody is, and now you got to come together in a pretty quick time span and get it together to play in a really big high stakes tournament.
Right. Well, luckily for us, obviously there's a difference of 9 generations. But for example, in Europe, when I go to a team, I don't know one player. Maybe I know one American. I watch them play, but during this time, it's like, okay, we all went to Texas Tech, so I've watched you during your career. I've seen how you operate. So just bringing it together in this quick time is pretty special to see, like how some of us collaborate and make things happen. Like you would have never think it'll fit, but it looks amazing on the court. So we all come happy, come ready to play. And I mean, it's just electric how we feel and how we're practicing for sure right now.
Not to put you on the spot, but there's been some people on Twitter speculating because they did spot one Jarrett Culver look like maybe coaching the team. Is there any chance the guy's like, hey, there's an extra spot. Can I sneak down on the bench? Can y'all convince him to make it happen?
All right, I have to say it. So Jarrett Culver, the last 2 days, we had only 7 players fly in, like Moretti, Italy, So he practiced with us for 2 days straight. And we were like, Jared, just throw on the jersey.
Let's go.
Like, forget about this, everything, what your agent is saying, whatever. Just throw on the jersey and play. Because he fit. Like, he's the number 6 pick. So, of course, he's going to look good out there. And we're like, dude, with you here, we would go from here to, But he practiced with us for 2 days, but I don't think he's just supporting us for now. He was there today,
That's
but
fair.
Support.
He's got his contract. I'm sure they have certain things in there, but it's like, it can only help you, right?
Right. That's what I was like. A little more exposure, but yeah,
like,
it's a lot.
show them what these teams are missing and why they're not giving him more minutes up there. Like, let him go to work. Oh well.
Exactly.
There's more years ahead. Maybe
For
another
sure.
year. But hey, never say never, right? Derek, if you're listening to this, you're there. I'm pretty sure they're allowed to add people. There's rules in there. Why not? You know, get us out of the region, show up for the Final Four.
Yeah. So
he
when
wants
you,
to.
I'm sure he wants to. I know I'm sure if it was just up to him, he'd be there. But I get it. There's business involved. I get it.
I guess. So when you like, how did you find out that you were like, were you asked to be on this team? Like, what did that look like? Did you get a phone call? Was it like an email, or do you apply? I have no idea, and I would love to know.
Yeah, so I don't know if you remember. So I had a roommate. His name was Clark Lambert. He was a walk-on.
Okay.
He was on our team from 2011 to 2015. So he was my roommate from 2011 to 2015 the entire time. And Andrew Sorrells, he was on the. I played. He was my teammate during. I think the last year was 2014, but
he was around for the Final Four team, I believe.
Yes,
wasn't he?
Yes, he was there with Beard and things like that. So those two guys are over it. And then they threw me in there and was like, okay, we want you to play, but kind of help with the players, who to bring, who not to bring. So those two are the masterminds behind everything, behind the scenes. The donor event, the food that we eat, they've done a great job, and they called each of the players. No one refused. Like, we had to say no to a lot of guys, like, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But Moretti's coming from Italy just to play in this and go right back to Italy. So it's no one said no, and that's how special this Texas Tech group is, because we know as soon as you saw the roster, everybody's like, oh, yes, we're going to play for sure. So it was nice.
We knew when they said Lubbock's going to host, because last year it was, I don't remember where they were, but we watched.
Right.
All the fans were like, hey, TBT, you have to put this in Lubbock. You want to break some attendance record, put it in Lubbock. And they were like, hey, well, show out now. And I was so excited. I'm really excited. It's good to know that Moretti's coming in, because I haven't seen him in the pictures, and I'm like, please don't break my little heart that David is not going to get to play.
He's coming tonight, actually. So his flight gets here tonight. And another thing that's special about the roster is last year's Texas Tech, or TBT, there were like maybe 2 or 3 Texas Tech guys, but this year everyone is affiliated, so it's special.
We talked about earlier today, and we're on a TBT episode we were recording. Like, last year was fun. We had some outside of Texas Tech people that we fell in love with, but it wasn't full Texas Tech because it was so last minute. This will be the true, like, this is us that's putting out there, and I'm really excited to see what y'all can do. We're biased, so we look at the roster, we're like, oh my gosh, this guy, how could we lose? But obviously there is some elite talent in this tournament, but it'll be really fun. You mentioned earlier kind of the players for Texas Tech's next year team, watching highlights and all that, and some guys that you didn't get to play with that now you get to play with. Is there anyone in particular that you want to like say, like, hey, I know of you, obviously, but we've never actually gotten to play on the court together that you're really excited about doing for this?
So Kyler Edwards was he was my favorite Red Raider to watch.
Same. I like the guy.
I was in Europe at 2 a.m. watching games because the 8-hour difference, like there's an 8-hour difference. So
tough.
I had to stay up a couple of times at Lawrence. But Kyler Edwards was the one guy that always stood out. And when I saw him playing, I was like, I worked out with him, come back, but playing on the floor with him, I think it's going to be special, and he's going to help us tremendously.
Yeah, it's really cool to get him back into Lubbock, because obviously he transferred and there was some bad blood, but then everything comes to light and now everyone's like, no, he's one of us. Like, anyone that was a little confused about what was going on can bring him back in to the family if they ever thought he wasn't. So I was really, really excited when I saw his name come up. I was like, yes, because he was fun to watch. I still remember him in that championship game. He was like the one that really kept us in that game, when Virginia started to get a little bit ahead in regulation, and then he, just little freshman out there, hit some threes, and then we ended up making it to overtime and lost. But he had some moments, and so that's cool. That's really cool.
I love that. God, that Red Raider loves staying up until 2 a.m. to watch him play.
That's
like,
tough.
I know.
You know, like, you're a real one. So like obviously your career in Europe, something that I've learned recently is some of the rules that are going to be part of this like TBT and things like the goaltending and things like that. When you first transitioned to Europe basketball in that format, what was it like kind of adapting to those new rules? And was it like a fun time, or were you like really missing the way that basketball was played here, or it was just kind of it is what it is and you had to do it? Or what was that experience like? It's all good.
No. Okay, go.
You good.
All right. So
You're fine.
all right. So yeah, she's running. So,
I wonder where she got that speed, huh?
I know. Her from the wife for sure. But so for me, it was probably the darkest time. Like my first year in Europe was very hard because the footwork is different. They call it travel on certain moves, and like I've lost a lot of points on the goaltending rule where you shoot a free throw, there's like a 7-foot guy just hits off the rim. You're like, whoa, like
what is going on?
And the fans are laughing at you. Like they're like, what is he talking about? So,
you're like complaining to the refs, and they're like, that's loud, buddy.
You're complaining, and the coach is like, get back on defense. Like so. But I mean, it was so those two things, those two rules, the footwork and the goaltending. It was rough the first probably 2 months, and after you learn the system, and it kind of flowed after that.
What have you gotten to take advantage of it? Because that rule to me is so fun to watch in a way of when you can just jump up. Like, what was the first time you're like, okay, I didn't like this at first, but now I can just jump up and slap it off the rim and steal someone else's point?
Yeah, I love it because even if you're on offense, like the ball is tipping, I can just dunk it in. It's like, well, sorry, buddy, that's my point. So
it goes both ways,
Yeah, so it's like that's the revelation of it. It's special going both ways. On defense, you see 5'11" guards trying to jump up and knock it off. Like it looks funny, but it's like it's fun to watch for sure. Watching with their rule.
Yeah, we've been joking. We cover all Texas Tech sports, so we've been joking like that would be cool to see them put it in the women's game, if nothing else. Like CO. So we got some pretty high jumpers on the women's team at Texas Tech right now. We're like, CO Kyla Freeland just jumping. She'd be swatting everybody's. JoJo just be swatting everybody's.
For sure.
But if I was reading right, TBT incorporates the goaltending, but what you were just talking about, there are some differences because I think in TBT you can't do it on a free throw. If I read that right. No,
you can't. You can't on a free throw here in TBT, but in Europe it's free whenever.
So you're like used to it, but not fully, because I think it also said like the offensive player can't do what you said, where you could jump up there and dunk it too. So there are some differences still.
Yeah, I might try it still, not knowing. So
that's what I was thinking. I was thinking you'd have an advantage, and now you're like both ways. Some points you are, and sometimes you're gonna be dunking back, and they're gonna call goaltending.
Yeah,
well.
For sure.
It'll be fun.
I love that. That's cool. Are there any rules that you wish that like the NCAA would adopt, or like maybe change? Maybe even it doesn't even have to be a rule that's existing now anywhere in the world. What would be like the Toddrick rule or adjustment to the game of basketball if you would have one?
To me, I'm just okay. I don't like the charge rule. Charge block. Okay, Texas Tech is known for it now. Like Chris
Beard, that's to say, yikes! Edit.
It's amazing, but as a player, like you're like, please, especially as a pro now, you don't see many charges in Europe, so it's like, man, you're jumping in the air, like that's one
I don't
rule
like the slide over late move is a little bit cheap. Yeah. They're trying to fix it, but
so. Okay. And flopping is.
Oh man.
So do you do you think the rule they put in this year in the NCAA where it's like a technical was helpful or not?
I think it wasn't helpful last year, but it could be because it could kind of train the coaches. All right, these guys can't flop. They can't, so it'll help in the long run, but the refs have to call it. So that's another thing.
The consistency has to be there. So
yeah,
that's true. One of the biggest things in TBT that we were trying to coach up and inform some fans of earlier in our segment on TBT was the Elam ending that they're not going to understand. As we told them, the Elam ending is kind of made for the fans because it takes out the smart strategy moves of stalling and hack-a-shack, even those types of things. But those are not fun to watch as fans, so it takes all that out, and it's just fun. But as a player, is it something you're excited to play in or to do, or have you done it anywhere? I know it kind of pops around at different events, but
I've never done it anywhere. Yeah, I've never done it anywhere, but to me, so we just talked to Steph Greensburg. He just spoke to our team, kind of gave us the rules. But the Elam inning is really valuable because it makes you play tough basketball. It's the first team. Usually the game is close. So after the under 4 timeout, they put this +7, and it makes it a basketball game where you have to see strategy. You have to play the right way. There's no bad shot. So I think it makes it more appealing because there's a target score. There's a game winner after every game. There's like a walk-off hit or a walk-off shot. So I love that part of it, and it's really special as a player just to the first team to 7. Like it makes it more pressure, more, so I really like it.
Yeah, it's really cool. It adds another element, both on whether you're winning or ahead at that point or not. Like that's a little bit of extra pressure. Like, okay, well, the time's gone. We still got to do work to get there. But I think that was something Texas Tech fans that watched last year were confused on. I think a lot more will be watching this year because, like you mentioned earlier, it's all Texas Tech players, and it's in Lubbock. So, yeah, I'm excited to see that play out. I think y'all are set up well for it. You have that European experience overseas with those rules, and then we have a handful of them that played last year that kind of hopefully will understand. And the coaching staff is different, but like the GMs, like you talked about earlier, the strategy is there. So it's interesting for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. So this episode is going to be airing the day before. The day before. Tomorrow, yeah, right. What do you hope people would know, or what would you like to see how Red Raider Nation shows up during this tournament? And what are you hoping to see from the fans? Maybe would be a better way to ask that question.
So I just hope I want to see the same passion that they gave us when we were in college. It's gonna be nice just to see the familiar faces that we used to see every game. And, we used in college, we used to have to go to these donor events, shake hands, but now to put them back in the stands is, like I said, it's special. And for the fan on the flip side, I'm sure it's amazing for them just to relapse and see all the memories that, that some may miss just seeing those guys play. I was on a bench today watching the guys, and I'm like, man, I was just watching him, So seeing him grown up, maybe he's a completely different player than what he was at Tech, because as a pro, you have to develop a lot faster. And so, you might see a lot of differences from college to now, and you'll be like, oh, he got a lot better, or he shoots better than what he did at Tech. So I think a lot of fans will see that. I'm hoping I wish I could hug everyone.
Yeah, I'm sure y'all might actually have a chance to do some hugging. Hopefully they'll, I know Texas Tech in recent years at least has been doing the whole, the fans come on the court every game thing. I don't know if that's going to translate into the Air Raiders, but I guarantee if y'all get which everyone's a walk-off, but if it's a crazy scenario, you're not going to keep Texas Tech fans from storming the court. No. Hopefully TBT has good protocols in place if that's not allowed, because Texas Tech fans...
we'll be hyped. We're known for taking fines just to rush.
Yeah, just bring them on.
So,
no kidding.
So we will see.
Yeah, I something that I haven't thought about until you were just talking about is how special it was to be in college while you were playing and like still having that affiliation with you specifically in all of these players, and now having them come back as we all have gotten like older and we've progressed in our careers. I think it'll be like a nostalgic type of experience too, just to watch you play again in, you know, some red and black and in the USA, like all of those components that really just bring us back to like a really special time when you were here at Tech and your career there. So that was just something that I was thinking of. I was like, I'm gonna be this fan that gets to watch Toddrick and all of these different players.
It definitely
it hits different. It's awesome. Yeah,
it definitely goes both ways. Like we were talking about how y'all, which is a whole other feeling, getting to play in the USA again for the fans, but fans too. I mean, the TBT's been around for a while, but Texas Tech has not had a team in it until the last 2 years, and so it's like, oh wow, we can see these guys play together again along all of them, all these generations. So it's going to be really exciting. One last question as far as the playing style and stuff with TBT goes, and then we'll get into a few fan questions that came in. But you mentioned the playing style of the players might be different than when they were at Texas Tech because of how they've grown their games. But I think one thing I noticed watching TBT last year with Texas Tech is even as immediate as Davion Warren at Texas Tech to the TBT, he was like one of our highest scorers on the team, and he was a pretty good scorer for us when he was at Tech, but not within the system. Like, how different is the pro game, which the TBT is a pro tournament, from what fans are used to, especially Texas Tech style basketball that they might want to prepare for if they didn't watch last year?
Right. So for the professional game, I obviously, for me, college game is very athletic. You see a lot of athletic guys running the floor up and down, but for TBT and the pro leagues or things like that, the IQ is a lot higher. I mean, you see guys that are they make the right plays at the right time. There's no, undisciplined. There's undisciplined plays, but there's a lot less than the college game. And just defense I think it'll be a slower pace. Obviously, like I said, college is up and down. And Texas Tech plays defense, obviously, so it was kind of slow. But we're going to be a step slower than that because we're a little older. So it's going to be great basketball. I mean, it's not going to be the NBA where guys are just scoring 30 and shooting up bad shots. So no one-on-one. It's going to be team-oriented and guys just understanding the game.
Yeah.
It's real basketball.
Right.
So the NBA is good for what it's good for. It's enjoyable, but it's not. It's different. So I love to hear that for sure.
Yeah.
This one thing that just came to mind, are they doing that skills thing this year? Or any of y'all participate in that if they are?
I know
last year they had like a 3-point shooting contest and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if they're doing that. They haven't asked any of us to participate,
probably not,
so
then.
I'm not sure.
Maybe they're holding it off to like
maybe
the
it's
final
a
four
last
or something.
minute.
But because I don't think any of our players participated in it last year either. But I figured since we were the host city, someone might. Like you put like Davide in the 3-point shooting contest.
Yeah, that sounds like put him in,
or even Mooney, any of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
But oh well,
that's so good.
Such was life.
Yeah, we posted on Twitter that we were gonna have you hanging out with us, Toddrick, and of course everybody's so hype. So we got a few questions that come from some of our followers. Okay. The first one coming from Brian, and it's one of my favorite questions too. But what is your favorite Texas Tech tradition?
Oh, easily the mass rider.
Yes, it is so hype.
I mean I get chills like. I show up to the football game just for that moment. Like I want to watch the game, but I have to be there to watch that moment. And I may have took it for granted a lot more in college, but now looking back, like that was special. Just I don't know. I mean, everyone gets hyped after that tradition.
Yep.
I mean,
It's hard not to get excited.
Truly.
Yes, for sure. And I used to love how they would just go around campus and you just see the mass rider and the horse, and you're like, oh.
Dang.
Real, like you're right there. So
you're
that's my favorite tradition.
Yeah. I think it was what's our new horse's name? Is it Centennial? I think maybe.
Centennial.
They had Centennial and the Mass Rider outside of a softball game, and I wasn't expecting it, and I was like walking up and I was like, oh my, you're huge. Like, this is almost scary.
It's
like,
large horse.
Yes.
Bevo who? Like, that,
Right.
it was very startling, but in a good way. But
Absolutely.
you're totally right. It's so electric, and how can you not be hype after seeing that on the football field? Yeah, you're totally spot on.
I wish the Master Rider could find its way into the Spirit Arena somehow, but I don't think the operations staff
safe.
would allow that.
I know. That would be nice. That would be really
Just like chilling in the tunnel, just casually. You can't come on the court, but it's just like in the background.
I love it.
That's great. Another one came in, and you live in Lubbock, right? You told us this earlier, so you might have quite a few of these. So let's do it two ways. What was your favorite spot in Lubbock when you were in college, and has that changed? And if so, what is it now? This came from Maddie on Twitter.
Nice.
Okay, Miss Maddie. I'm gonna go with Spanky's was my go-to. Like, I feel like most
Fried
college
cheese.
kids love Spanky's. So
Yes.
Spanky's is the original. So I'll give you two choices: Spanky's, and I'll go Whataburger at night after 11.
Hey,
That was
you know
a
the
good
drill. You know the drill.
What's your Whataburger order?
I get breakfast. I wait for breakfast at 11
obviously.
o'clock.
Yes.
Like, you can't imagine
Taquitos.
how many alarms I had at 10:50 just to wake up, go to eat breakfast, and come back home and go to sleep. Like,
That's
so
my
it's called a
guy.
breakfast on a bun. A breakfast on a bun is
That's right.
my favorite. And it's changed a little bit. Now my go-to is I have to go to Double Nickels
Double
before
nickels, so
at
good.
the beginning and before I leave to Europe. So that's my top for sure.
Those are good. Good bookends there.
So,
That's good. Yeah, you like got to get your food in before you.
Oh yeah.
How long are you over there every year?
10 months.
It's like 10 months. Oh man, 10 months and 2 months. That's a lot.
The grind.
I'm sure your kids are little, but do they ever get to come over? Or are they at the age yet that y'all been able to bring them over there
Yeah,
to travel with y'all?
Actually, they do. They come back and forth. But last year, the kids stayed with me in Europe while my wife was coming back and forth. So yeah,
Man.
It was weird because like people were like, "How are you doing it?" We had a nanny, of course, but my daughter went to an international school. Her best friends are from all across Europe, so she's called, "Hey, can I see such and such today?" And I'm like, "Well, we're in a different location."
Yeah.
So
It's a train ride.
To
Yeah.
show off back when they're in America. Like, what'd you do for summer? Well, I was in Greece or
Right.
Turkey or Romania.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, that was.
No, that's cool. That's a cool experience for them for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Everyone always gets to grow up a little bit when they go overseas, and it's cool that they're getting to do that already
Yes.
at a young age.
Yeah, and their dad's doing some cool stuff. Like, what?
Yeah.
I'd be pretty stoked. I don't know. So next question. You talked about being a bookworm back in the days of Texas Tech. Are you still like reading? And if so, like, do you have like a favorite book or like a book that you would recommend to anybody to read? I'm even trying to think of this answer for myself and what I would say, but do you have any book recommendations?
That's a great question. I have two recommendations.
Okay.
The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, I believe.
Okay.
So The Compound Effect is my all-time favorite. It's got me into reading. Like every year, I take 40 books to Europe, so I have a luggage of books just to go to Europe.
Like
we need
new
to get you a
books?
Kindle? Like,
Well, that's the
a
thing.
heavy
with me,
bag.
He's
That's
old
the-
school.
I can't read off of I'm on the phone, then I lose.
It does hurt your
So
eyes.
I need
a
a
little bit.
paperback.
I hear you.
Compound Effect and the Four Agreements are my two.
I'm gonna check those out.
Yeah, I'm looking them up right now.
Yeah,
they
it's
sound like. Yeah, what are they? Are they like self-help or what? Like, yeah.
Yeah, they're more self-help than anything. I've turned over a little bit to true crime books, just to mix it up a little bit, and I want to be a lawyer some days. I want to be, just to
Be an AD, a lawyer, a pro basketball player.
So, but those top two for sure.
Okay,
That was
good
great.
to know.
I
got them locked up now.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, those were all the fan questions we got on the short notice we gave them. But Those were good. If y'all have any others, I'm sure you can find them. Let people know where they can find you on social media if you'd like to, if they want to ask you some more questions.
Yes,
or book suggestions.
You can find me. League_me_0 is my Twitter, and LeagueMe0 is the Instagram. So I'm always.
What a name!
I
what
respond.
a name!
I always respond. I don't. I'm not that big-headed guy that thinks he's so. For sure.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. You're very down to earth, and that you've always been one of our favorite players. We're a little biased for the 3 or 4 of you that were back in our time, older, that are on the team now. We're like, yeah, that's right. We had all of them on here. So I'll let you finish it off with this. You say maybe you want to steal Kirby's job one day as an AD. A big part of that job is in a way getting people into the stands, right?
Yeah.
Getting them there. What would your pitch be? We sold out the lower bowl, but we want to sell out the whole thing. For the last people in Lubbock that have not bought a ticket, why should they show up?
You should show up to see amazing time, get the feeling, the memories back all in one place. To see so many Red Raiders in one building is special. So I plan to honestly to try to shake as many hands as I can once the game is finished again. So can't wait to hug these guys. So come out and see us, and we're gonna put on a show.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Y'all heard it. Okay, y'all. If you haven't bought tickets, go. The first game is tomorrow when you're hearing this, or whenever you're hearing it. It's Wednesday. First game is at, I believe, 8 Central
8 o'clock
time there in Texas. And I don't really know how it works. There's other games going on all day. Maybe you buy one thing and you get to watch them all. I'm not sure. But whatever you got to do to get there for the Texas Tech game, the Air Raiders game, as their name is, be there because, as he said, it's going to be special. This is something you don't get to see when you're at Texas Tech games. That's one generation of player. We got 9 errors, we'll call them that, of players on this team that you get to watch play again. Some of your favorites, some that you're going to fall in love with again, or maybe for the first time if you didn't watch them play. It's going to be exciting. And they'll be here for about a week if we keep winning. It sounds like you can play up to 3 games maybe in Lubbock if they win each step of the way, and then they'll move on to Louisville, I believe, is the next spot. So exciting stuff coming, y'all.
I know. And just to add on to that, and Toddrick, this whole time that we've been talking is it's so clear the love that you have for Texas Tech. And I think one thing that we can all agree on as Red Raiders is when times are tough, we turn to the ones that are leaders like you and go through that hard time to get to a point where it is beneficial, maybe not necessarily for you in the moment, but like we talked about earlier, the future of this program. And I just wanted to say thank you for coming on here and sharing more about your story so far. And y'all to be able to see this and a true Red Raider, the ones that we talk about constantly and that we love so much.
Red Raider for life.
Yeah, to play in the USA, that alone is the reason to go. And you definitely highlighted some more positive things to come out of it. But we really appreciate you, Toddrick, and the support that you give this university constantly and what you've done for the basketball program. And honestly, being part of what Texas Tech basketball is today. We have you to thank for that. And personally, it was awesome watching you play back in the day. And I a little starstruck right now and oh, this is so cool. It's been awesome getting to hear more about your story. So everybody go check it out. And again, thank you, Toddrick, for coming and hanging out with us.
It means a lot, and I appreciate you guys so much. This is special to me. So anytime I hop on, get a friend on, whatever you need, I'm here for you. So I
appreciate that so much. We'll definitely find a way to get you on here again. We just started this thing up in January, but we love to let fans get to know the athletes a little bit more on and off the court is our kind of goal. So we appreciate that. And I really love this interview, getting to know you more, like Sivy said, and even more excited to watch you go to work tomorrow night. So
get to work.
Yes, y'all, we're excited. I have a good feeling that y'all are going to do big things. It's going to be fun. But we end every interview by just an easy guns up and wreck 'em. So wreck 'em, Toddrick.
Wreck 'em.